Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted to be joined by Niall as we are in final prediction mode for the massive fight on Friday night as Lawrence Okolie makes his return, fighting for a world title, if you call it that, a Bridgerweight WBC Bridgerweight world title against the undefeated Polish powerhouse, we'll call him, Lukasz Rozanski. Okolie obviously needs no real introduction. We've seen him. It's been a best part of a year. I think it's almost like 3 or 4 days off an exact year from the Billum Smith defeat. Rozanski, we saw last time out winning the WBC Bridgerweight World title, knocking out Alan Babic in 1 round. Prior to that, obviously, also knocked out Artur Szpilka inside 1 round, who had given Deontay Wilder fits not that long ago in the heavyweight division. But anyway, yeah, this is all about Okolie Rozanski, our final predictions. And without further ado, Niall, I want you to tell me your final prediction for this fight straight away.
Thanks for having me on. I think that this is an easy one to call for me. I know Okolie is the favourite, but I've seen people say Rozanski could knock him out. I can't see it at all. I just think Okolie is absolutely levels and levels above Rozanski. No disrespect. I think Rozanski is too easily hit, too reckless. I think Okolie is going to knock him out. Mid to late rounds. I think it could be shaky early on, but I think Okolie is just way too well rounded and too powerful for Rozanski, and I think he's going to knock him out. He's going to outbox him, I think, and then stop him kind of. I'd say just after halfway, maybe 7 or 8. Credit to Rozanski. He can hit hard, and as I say, he could cause Okolie problems early with his power. But he's beaten Babic and Szpilka there, as you mentioned, and I think Okolie would have destroyed them as well, to be quite honest with you. I think people might get a little bit carried away on those wins. Babic, yeah, Okolie beat Babic for me, and Artur Szpilka, his chin is just totally gone. It really is. So I think there's levels to this, and I'm going for an Okolie stoppage here. What about yourself?
Interesting, mate. Yeah, very interesting. When you said that you finding this one easy to call, and then you went on to Rozanski, I was like, is he going for a Rozanski stoppage here? Is he going for it? But no, mate, I agree with you. I had written down here on the notes just as well, having a look at it, that I think Okolie could get Rozanski out of there, with all due respect, almost any time he wants to. Um, that's maybe a wee bit harsh, but I'm gonna go. I was going for the mid rounds. I was kind of going from that 5 to 8 mark. So I do agree with you. Maybe rounds around 6, round 7. I feel like Okolie could stop him. In saying that, though, there are a few interesting caveats and points that you do have to mention. I think here, one being the obvious that it's up at Bridgerweight, the weight division between cruiserweight and heavyweight. And for anyone that doesn't know, Bridgerweight limit is 224 pounds. So cruiserweight was 200. Bridgerweight is what, stone and 10 pounds above that, up at 16 stone limit. So we obviously knew Okolie was a huge cruiser at 6'5", massive reach, bigger than a lot of heavyweights. But seemed to make cruiserweight well enough. Did balloon up there, I think, a little bit in that year off. Looked rather heavy. But so and he'd been talking about, even remember back years ago when Okolie was fighting for Eddie Hearn before the boxer move. He was talking about, or Eddie Hearn was talking about him moving up to heavyweight in the future. So it's no surprise to see Okolie up at Bridgerweight. So yeah, when then you look at Rozanski, obviously, who was campaigning as a heavyweight and moved down, I suppose, to as well to Bridgerweight. As I say, Alan Babic, limited fighter, and
Yeah,
Artur Szpilka, former world title challenger, yes, but I think maybe around the Chisora defeat is when his chin just went.
yeah.
Potentially, it could have been Derek Chisora, it could have been Chisora that ruined it. But the other interesting one I want to mention that it didn't allude to there at all, Niall, is we're both going for an Okolie stoppage here. What do you think Okolie will look like having a year out of the ring, plus the massive big factor as well of that he is now going to be fighting for the first time with Joe Gallagher as his coach? How do you see that one playing out?
Yeah, that is an interesting point. You mentioned the year out, and also not only a year out, but the last time we seen him, he looked absolutely dreadful. Like that Billum Smith performance, he was terrible. It was one of the worst performances from a world champion I've seen. So it is interesting, and there is pressure on him here to maybe look good in this one, because if he kind of scrapes by Rozanski, there'll be real questions asked then. And of course, as you mentioned, the Joe Gallagher link up. who knows how that's going to go. You know, Joe Gallagher's had his kind of detractors as well from people about his coaching style, and is he the best to kind of get the best out of kind of Okolie to fight using his size and those sort of advantages. So who knows in that regard, in terms of trainers, how well he's going to look. But I am interested to see that. But as I mentioned, there is pressure on Okolie here to kind of look good doing it following the Billum Smith fight because God his stock plummeted after that. So I think it's all about no disrespect to Rozanski here, but it's all about Okolie. The kind of narrative around this fight, it's all about how Okolie looks. You know, if he's back to kind of somewhere near his best, he gets this guy out there halfway or just after halfway for me. But yeah, I am curious to see how he fares.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Joe Gallagher thing is an interesting one for me as well. I think, the whole, I think he has had his critics of late, Joe Gallagher, but he's his resume and kind of fighters he's trained speaks for itself. I think over the years, even going back to the Scott Quigg days, and like people would say that Scott Quigg was maybe a limited fighter who was more work ethic than anything else, but you can't deny the reign he had as world champion. Plenty of others, obviously. You have, would you argue that Joe Gallagher the best out of Callum Smith? Maybe. You could say that some of the other Smith brothers as well. Natasha Jonas, obviously. I think he's training Charlie Edwards now as well in his resurgence.
Yeah.
A
Hmm.
few interesting ones. So he's clearly still a world class coach. Won the trainer of the year as well many times. But yeah, it is an interesting one for me, mate. I think this fight, Okolie's got to be looking for the stoppage. I think anything other than a stoppage for Okolie here is very underwhelming.
Yeah.
When that comes, I'm not expecting him, as we both alluded to. I'm not expecting him to fly out of the traps. He maybe will want to get a few rounds because he didn't look great the last time out. Sounds ridiculous, but he maybe will want to get hit, see how he takes
Yeah.
it. Because those Bill and Smith ones that like dropped him weren't massive shots. I don't think.
No.
So, are there question marks over the Okolie chin? Who knows? Well, I think we're actually going to learn quite a lot about Lawrence Okolie this weekend. Just finally now, before we finish, I'm going to go full study mode here. When
Yeah.
I'm doing a final prediction video with him, he always likes to say to me, right, final prediction, you've given it. If you had to pick one round, what would it be? And I'll tell you what the odds are.
I'm gonna go bang on halfway. I'm gonna go six. If I had to, I know I said 7 or 8 earlier, but I think he can get it done in six. So I'm going around six for me if I had to pick.
Interesting. Lawrence Okolie, round six stoppage is 10-1. So decent odds there. Decent odds, I
Yeah.
have to say. I'm gonna go. See, I was gonna go round six, but you know what? I'm gonna go round seven. No, no, you know what? I'm gonna go round five. I'm gonna go round five. I'm gonna go round
Yeah.
five, which is 11-1. I'm seeing odds of here for Okolie. So yeah, very interesting one. We're both going for the Lawrence Okolie stoppage in the mid rounds. Let's see who's right. I know Casper, our Polish friend who I'd done the preview with, thinks that his heart is obviously telling him Rozanski. He thinks Rozanski
Yeah.
could get him out of there in a round or two, but his head was saying Okolie. So you never know, mate. You never know. We could be getting egg on our face here. It all depends on what
Yeah.
Lawrence Okolie turns
I
up, I
think
think. But
I think Rozanski's best chance is early, the first couple of rounds, to be honest, to rush him and just hit him with a big one and get him out of there early. Because I think the longer it goes, the more it favors Okolie for me. But yeah, it'd be interesting.
totally agree, mate. Totally agree. We'll leave it there. Guys, let us know your thoughts on how you think this fight plays out. What are you expecting from Lawrence Okolie after the year out, teaming up with Joe Gallagher? Obviously up at Bridgerweight, probably a stepping stone up to a move at heavyweight. How far could he go? At heavyweight, could he even win a world title? Let us know all of those things. Or do you see the shock happening? Do you see Lukasz Rozanski all but ending the career of Lawrence Okolie? I don't want to jump the gun, but you lose the Rozanski, and where do you go if you're Lawrence Okolie? Let us know your thoughts on all those guys. Thanks very much for watching. Niall, speak to you again soon, mate.